All right, then hello everyone. This is Jack Bosch speaking, and welcome to another episode of the Forever Cash Life Real Estate Podcast with your truly, Jack Bosch. We are going to have a great episode today because we have Stephen Young here with us, who is not only one of our coaches but also a full-time land flipper, and he specializes in analytics and high-price deals. So we're going to talk about how to get bigger deals done and how to know your numbers quite well. All right, we'll start in just a second.
Welcome to the Forever Cash Life Real Estate Investing Podcast with your hosts, Jack and Michelle Bosch. Together, let's uncover the secrets to building true wealth through real estate and living a purpose-driven life.
Okay, so here we go. Hey, Steve, how are you doing?
Great. I'm doing great, Jack. How are you doing today?
I'm doing excellent. So you live in Florida, right?
Yep, that's correct. As you can tell from the background.
Yeah, I can see it looks beautiful sunshine. I'm here in my home office. But so you're in Florida. Jansen and you are part of our land profit generator team. You're part of our coaches. But obviously you didn't just come in as a coach. You came in to the traditional route of learning the land flipping, going through the coaching yourself, mastering the program, and then you came back as a coach. So tell us a little bit about your background first. What did you do before you did land flipping? How did you come around? So just tell us who is Steve and tell us a little.
Right. So first and foremost, I'm like a huge basketball fan and basketball player. I still try to play as much as I can actively. Can't do that now with, the current pandemic that's taking place. But, once it's over, come meet me on the court. But anyways, actually got my degree from the University of Tampa back in '08, and it was management information systems. So with that degree, you primarily do, data analytics, getting Excel spreadsheets, pivot tables, gathering all that data together and help create a story, right, for the executives, for whatever line of business that you're working. And so I was corporate America all the way from the moment I graduated up until probably late 2016 going into 2017. Me and my wife started getting more interested in real estate. We actually put some money down on a fourplex and very quickly realized we didn't know what we were doing. So I was still working my full-time job, and we were looking for ways to start to replace that job by utilizing passive income. But with that being said, we needed active income. So we started learning about wholesaling houses. You watch a lot of HGTV, you learn about flipping homes, or you think you know a lot about flipping homes after watching those shows. And we actually went to our local RIA here in Orlando, and Jack was one of the main speakers at the event. And I remember prior to us going to the event, I was like, oh, there's no way. Land's not important. It's boring. It's not sexy. What could you possibly do at land? And Jack came up on stage and started talking. And I was like, you know what? This is something that we can do. We were working a 9-to-5. It was simple. We could do it from home. We could do it from anywhere. And we only need to dedicate a few hours, a day to working that business. And so from that point on, as Jack previously mentioned, we just started working the systems, working the program. We may talk about it a little bit later, but we got to a point where we were running stagnant and we needed to take it to the next level, got coaching, and, next thing we know, we're in the Hall of Fame for Jack's program. So for your program. So it's been quite a journey.
That's exciting. So corporate America. And can you dive a little bit deeper for a moment into that? What made you start looking at things that were not corporate America related?
Yeah, so you probably hear this 1,000 times on your podcast and other various real estate podcasts. It was Rich Dad, Poor Dad. So I already had the interest in real estate by watching HGTV. So I love the renos and people cleaning, taking something that was garbage and turning into a jewel. And then my wife was reading this book. I don't know how she found out about it. I don't know who told her. But she's like, read this book. And I was like, no, I'll get around to it. I'll read it later. And then, 2 weeks later, I started reading, and the knowledge that he was dropping just opened my mind to the possibilities, that was out there. And so with the corporate job, 9 to 5 is really, it's for sure the 9 to 5, but it'd also be like a 9 to 7, 9 to 8. And so I mentioned that we had young children. I wanted to spend more time with them. So that book helped me realize that there's other ways to generate income that don't involve me sitting in the office. And then my big reason for wanting to get out was to spend more time with my kids.
Okay. So were you, I just want to, were you, like, this is a big step to basically go to college, go to a career in management information systems. And I have a little bit of a background in that too. I had taken at least some classes on that. And that's what I worked in the industry too myself. And so I'm just, so you read the book, it opened your mind, but then doing that step from being full-time here in a good and safe position that probably based on the industry didn't pay nothing, right? That had probably a good pay, and Jansen had probably a good job too, or so I assume. And going from that into that perceived uncertainty of like HGTV and land and land flip, and then I understand land flipping came around, but did you try other things? You said you tried wholesaling houses. How did that go? Did that work?
So actually, we never jumped into it. So we were doing some, a variety of education to learn more about it. So we understood the basic needs for wholesaling. But what I didn't like about it was I didn't want to hear people's sob stories, right? I felt very uncomfortable going into their homes when someone's about to lose the home that they raised their children in. That I couldn't do that. And not to mention the time. I can't, at the drop of a hat, have a lead and rush off from my job to go visit these folks and, do an assessment on the property, try to build rapport when I knew I was on the clock to get back to my job.
So then really land flipping. So you were in an educational search. You were going to the RIA meetings. You were reading Rich Dad Poor Dad. You were educating yourself. And then the land flipping came along. And what made the land flipping different from anything else?
So the number one thing was it's easy, right? So the concept is the same as wholesaling houses. But like you always say, no tenants, toilets, and termites. That really resonated because it was like, wow, that's a lot. And we had a fourplex too. So we understood the issues with all of those things. And this was a way to get the same amount of money, if not more in some cases, utilizing, the methods that you teach in land versus going the route of houses. So we never actually dove into the houses. Once we heard you speak, I mean, we knew right away. When you know, right? When the one's the one, that's the one. And we said this aligns perfectly with the goals that we wanted to reach, and it was going to be the best method for us to reach those goals. So we jumped right.
So then you advanced on. You did a few deals using the land profit generator, and then you said you grew stagnant. What happened there? What was the issue there?
So the big problem was consistency. I think we were really caught up in the rehab of that fourplex, and we were treating this business like a hobby. It was a nice thing to have around in our back pocket. And maybe part of the problem was we had done our first deal so quickly that we're like, oh, this is a piece of cake. We'll send out a mailing every once in a quarter. We'll get around to it. I mean, that first deal, we got our first deal. You came down in, I think it was September. A hurricane came through. So it delayed your visit for like a Saturday session or a weekend session. And by the time you came back, we had already done our first deal in November. So we made $13,000.
Yeah, I remember that was Hurricane, was it Irene?
I think it was Irma.
Irma, yes. I knew it started with I. So it was Irma, and basically I was taking the family down to Florida because like if I go speak somewhere, I don't just go speak. I like, it's Florida, it's Orlando. Let's make it a vacation. So I brought Michelle and Sophia with me, and we stayed in the Waldorf or something like that, beautiful hotel. And then they went to they went to Disney when I went to the RIA and Spake, because I have had enough Disney in my life for the next 15 lifetimes. And so but then we were supposed to stay the full week, right? Because we spoke like Tuesday, Wednesday night, and then it was supposed to stay for sale on a Saturday, but then hurricane was coming in, and we literally took the last flight out, one of the last flights out on Thursday to get back home to Phoenix. And then we waited until everything was like restored and came back in November. And in those like 6 to 8 weeks, you guys did a deal already. How much did you make on that deal? Just curiosity.
13,000.
10,000?
13.
Oh, 13. Okay, very cool. That's a great first deal.
Yeah, I mean, having not done anything, that's huge.
Yeah, so it's always that first deal. You will remember that forever. So then you're kind of like straggling along and doing a deal every once in a while. But so then what made you come back to coaching?
So we went to one of your live events, I guess that following, or maybe it was towards the end of 2018. I think you were here in Tampa, or you were in
January, usually in Florida. We like it's a nice area, nice time of the year. January, February, we like doing that if we're allowed to do it with a pandemic, right?
Sure. Yeah. So you came back. I think it was January, right? 2019. And we had already been thinking about it. You know, the following year in 2018, you had introduced the opportunity. And I remember I was like, we don't need coaching. We got our first deal. We'll be fine. We'll be good. And then we struggled a whole year and came back, and you were demonstrating stories of folks and other students that had taken their business to the next level. They had had really good success. They were doing all the things that they needed to do to be successful. And we always had the dream, the goal of eventually getting to the Hall of Fame. I mean, it's just something that we wanted. It was a goal, something that we felt like we could accomplish. And again, we didn't want this business to be a hobby. So, you know, once you started having the coaches come up and they spoke and talked and other students were telling their testimonies, it was a no-brainer. It was like, let's make the investment so that we can take our business, you know, to the next level and let this be a legacy, you know, for our kids.
Right, and that was in 2000. You said 18 or 19?
That was 19. So 19, I think you had
right.
Rich there, and I think.
And so since then, how many deals have you done?
Oh, so since then we've done like 30 plus deals.
30 plus deals. Wow. Yeah. And you have quit your job, I understand.
Yes. So I'm right. Exactly. No, it's been amazing. So, and that's a big reason why, you know, we jumped into this, was to get out of that 9 to 5, the mundane every day, show up, do a task, go home, and this false sense of security, which isn't secure at any point. They could just let you go, versus now working for yourself. And so, no, it's been great. So there was an opportunity to leave. The company that I was working for had voluntary separation packages, and we had already, you know, made a commitment to, you know, be the best we can be with this business. And I said, all right, I'm done. I'm out. So it's been fantastic.
Awesome. And now you're a stay-at-home dad.
Yes. Yep. That I got that. Anywhere you look me up, you'll see that's one of my titles: land flipper and stay-at-home dad. That's awesome. Me.
Well, what difference does that make in the life of you and your kids? I mean, isn't that incredible?
Oh yeah, it's unbelievable. I mean, prior to starting this process, you work all day, you come home, you pick them up, you know, shove some food down their throats, dunk them in the tub, and they go to bed. And that's not the way to spend time with family, right? Like I wanted to have them have the opportunity to get to know who their father is, spend time with them. You know, when they have questions, you're there to help them out. And it's interesting. My daughter, you know, shortly after, within the first few months, she's like, I like you being home, Daddy. I like you being home. And
how old is she now?
So she's 5. She'll be 6 in September. So she's getting ready for kindergarten this year.
That's awesome, because mine is 12 and she still says that.
Yeah. And that's time you can't get back. I actually just spoke to a parent, a neighbor across the street, and she's loved this quarantine time. I mean, under the circumstances, obviously, this is a pretty terrible event that's happened to the world, but I think it's really given people an opportunity to spend more time with their kids. And there are good days and bad days, but, you know, you wouldn't give it up for the world. You wanted to have kids for a reason, and so now you're getting that opportunity to spend time with them. I love every minute of it. The ups.
Same here. It's fantastic. It's like there's this statement somebody said, or it might even be a book. I don't know. I'm not sure. It says called 18 Summers, or perhaps a blog article that basically says that the average family, or normally every almost family, what you have is like in a normal life, you have 18 summers with your kids because your kids are only home for
Oh,
the
I
summer,
see.
really. The rest of the time they're in school. And
Yep.
you have 18 summers, and you better make the most out of those 18 summers because then the kids are gone. You don't have the next 50 years with your kids, right? You
Right.
got 18 summers, and then they're off in college. Then their peers are more important. Then they're gonna go get their girlfriends or boyfriends, and they're gonna go get married. And if you're lucky, they're close by, and you have a good relationship, and you visit them all the time. But more often than not, you still have perhaps a good relationship, but they're thousands of miles or hundreds of miles away, and you
Right.
see them like once a month or once a year. So you got 18 years, 18 months, 18 summers. And I don't want to just have 18 summers. I want to be having to truly have 18 years.
Right.
So that when they come from home, or I go pick her up from school, we go grab an ice cream, or we go home and we go jump in the pool, or things like that
Right.
that you can do now too. And that's one of the biggest benefits, other than of course the money of the land flipping, is that the ability to just have that. That family is the most important thing for us.
Exactly.
Very, very cool. So yeah. So then now, so then obviously you got into the Hall of Fame. You got also, we called out you and Jensen. If you guys want to be coaches, and you have now been coaches for a little bit, and have some of your students, or many of your students have successes already. And how is that? How is that being a coach?
So it's been fantastic. It's interesting. One of my goals this year was to give back to real estate, right? So the best way I feel to do that is either number one, volunteering. So volunteer for your, local RIA, wherever they need you to do, just like go do it so that you can help them succeed and they help you succeed. And then I want to help others, right? So coaching is just that, right? The coaches are there to help the player reach a level that they probably couldn't reach on their own. So that's where they're giving them tactics, encouragement, so it's just something that I wanted, and thus far it's been fantastic. A lot of the students are very appreciative. They really value the content that you've provided, and they just need a little bit of shoring up to get them to that next level. And I love having the ability to help provide that for them.
Awesome. So let's jump into some of your specialties and your own deals, because at the beginning I had said that you're really good at analytics. Tell us a little bit about what you do in the area of analytics in your business.
So for me, I'm like the acquisitions guy, right? So once we get all our mailers out to whatever county that we're working, as we get calls back, I'm the go-to person to quickly assess the value of the property. And get those offers out to folks. Working through that, me and my wife have, we're a two-person team, and she really does a lot of the marketing, side for our group. But I make sure that we're targeting areas that are good areas. We're getting enough mailers out, following up with people. So it's a lot of the boring stuff, that is sometimes done in the back office. I mean, I love doing those sorts of things. So for me, it's, that's where I can add the most value. Quickly look at something, assess it, and, get those offers out, and then decide on, what areas we need to touch, we need to go after next.
Okay, so you're looking at the deals from a analytical point of view, in terms of not just, okay, here's another deal, let's go make it happen, but a little bit more strategically, like higher level. What kind of factors do you look at in such cases?
Yeah, so you're looking at, population growth, right? There's a couple great tools out there that, can be utilized, that can help you do that. And then, a big reason that, I'm even able to do what I'm able to do is the Investment Dominator system that you have in place. So having that as a tool from end to end to put all of my entries in from the time I mail them until we get an accepted offer is huge. There's various statuses, there's various labels that you can put on each of these things so that I can pull reports, I can track a lot of the data much simpler, much easier. And so that helps me categorize each county, each state, down to the order, the specific mail order that I have, what letters I used, what handwritten font that I used. I have the ability now to break down all those analytics and help us target specific areas, where we had the most success and other areas where we didn't. So, utilizing those tools have been, instrumental, and is what's helped us, gain the level of success that we've gained.
Okay, very cool. Great. So analytics was one of the areas you said you're really good at, and then obviously you also like over time. I heard you say in a prior conversation that the goal has changed from in 1 year you did 30 plus deals. The goal has changed from the next year doing 60 deals to doing higher end deals, right? So the goal has changed from a number of deals to really like a bottom line, making a certain amount of money, I would want to think, right?
Correct.
So what have you done in order to make that mind shift, and what have you done in your actual business to focus on those higher end properties?
So as we were working, last year, we noticed that it takes the same amount of effort to do a deal that's going to make us $2,000 versus a deal that made us $40,000. The difference was just jumping right in and going after those high value properties. Now, there may be a little more conversation that needs to take place with the seller, right? Just to better understand, what their motivations are for selling. But the amount of effort that it took was the same. And so we decided, rather than putting so much effort into the smaller deals, if I can put that same amount of effort and make that much money, I'd rather do that. Now, that's not to say you're not going to move them as quickly, because they're higher valued properties. They may take a little bit more time, but we're okay with that, because at the end of the day, to walk away with, $50,000, $60,000 after a deal, I'd say that was pretty well worth, maybe the extra month it may have taken, just to make sure that that property got seen by the right folks at the right time.
So what's the biggest deal you have done so far?
So the biggest deal we've done, we made $40,000. That deal, it's a very interesting deal. You may have heard it, maybe not, but we actually got the deal. It was in Orlando, and we bought it. But the way we bought it was we used private money. We used my wife's cousin. So we said, hey, look, we have a deal. We know it's valuable. We know we can sell it and make money from it. Work with us here. We'll give you, we'll pay you interest-only payments until we sell it. So the deal ended up taking a little bit longer, than we expected. We did end up getting a realtor on it. So we decided to outsource that function so that the realtor could be the brunt, right? Be that toll gate to filter through any sellers that came in, so that we can go back into the business and focus on additional deals that we were working. So we did get a realtor on it. It did end up taking a year, but that's okay, because it was a win-win-win-win, right? So the cousin made a year's worth of interest-only payments, more money than she would have made in the stock market.
Right.
The seller, they had already gotten their money because we used the private money, so they were happy. The realtor got a nice commission for the amount of effort that he put in for working the deal for us, and we made $40,000. So I love those types of stories because everybody benefited. Now, it wasn't easy, right, to get to that point, but at the end of the day, it's a fantastic story, and it really talks to the testament of what this business can do. As long
and a little bit creativity, because the seller in this case might have not held out for a year,
right?
But you guys were able to buy it and finance it. In this case, helping even a family member make more money, which is exciting. And obviously, in our community, we also have people that would lend that money. So we have people, private money lenders, and so on in the group that they look at the deals, and if the margin is big enough, they're like, yeah, it's a safe deal. Like, because this deal was probably, how much did you sell it for?
$60,000.
Okay, so you got on a contract for less than 20, because if 20
Correct.
includes the interest, that wasn't even that much. So
No.
very, very cool. Great. I mean, awesome. So now, what's the plan for the next year here, for the next 12 months? What's your guys' vision and plan and focus?
Yeah, so the plan, my wife wrote it down. I think she's got a real, we did 10x. So she was saying 800,000. So that's the plan. The plan is to make at least that much money within the next 12 months. So we're definitely going to be, again, getting as many mailers out as we possibly can. Even during this current pandemic, the business hasn't stopped. We're still doing everything we typically would do. And I've even told that at local people at the RIA here in Orlando. They're like, oh no, you hear some panic. What are you guys doing? You hear people kind of freaking out. And for us, I told them, I said, hey, it's business as usual. We're going full speed ahead, cranking out offers, getting calls back. So it's been great to this point. And we're just going to continue to do that, continue to keep pushing.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, a lot of our students are reporting, and we see that ourselves too. We're just hiring actually a new land salesperson this week.
Okay.
As we record this, full-time land salesperson in our company. That there's actually more interest in land right now than there was before, and last year was already one of our best years ever.
Right.
So this is actually there were some rightful hesitation and fear about the COVID kind of situation coming into March, let's say, of 2020 right now. But what it turns out is that there's apparently, and this is how I explain it to myself and to those who ask me, is that it seems like there's that people are so sick and tired of being at home.
Yeah.
Especially those who actually love the outdoors, like the RV group, the ATV people, the hiker, the biker, the kayaker, and things like that love being outdoors. And even like some of them said like, okay, let's still go out and let's go on an RV park or a campground. Well, the campgrounds were closed. The RV parks were closed, right?
Oh, wow.
So in many areas, so they couldn't even go anywhere. And I think that, along with them being stuck at home, as long as them not being able to spend money, and actually some people saving money during that time. I just read an article that saving rates have actually gone up in the pandemic right now.
Okay.
Is that a lot of people said, you know what, screw it, let's get our own piece of land so that we can, if there's another pandemic, we can just take our RV or our tent or whatever it is and just go out on our own place or build a cabin over time there. And so the properties that we there make like 90% of our deals, which is the properties right on the outside of town, as
Right.
well as the larger kind of like ranchettes or little ranches in the rural areas. They've been getting a turbo boost of interest from people because they don't want to be in a position anymore of being stuck in some small condo or apartment or a house with a small backyard and not be able to kind of like go places. And so we have actually, very interesting, like COVID has actually helped our business.
Sure.
And even though 2019 was like the best year almost we've had ever, 2020 is turning out to be almost even better. So, and you guys seeing similar things?
Yeah, we are. We're definitely seeing a lot of activity. A lot of people are looking to buy, like you said. They're looking for a way out. They want to have their, potentially for the next pandemic, have their land ready to go. And people are looking to sell. There's been some stimulus money that has gone out, but I don't think it's going to be enough to help sustain people if this thing goes any longer than it currently has. So if you got an asset that's sitting there doing nothing for you, why not make some money from it? So
exactly right. I'm 100% with you. So great. So with that said, let's go for a quick lightning round of a few questions, and that is, number one is like, of all the things in your life, overall in your life, what's the biggest failure you have experienced?
Oh wow. I think not taking action sooner, right? Jumping into this. I waited to the point in my career where it was just completely stagnant and there was no real opportunity to move up, and it started frustrating me. It started impacting my family. And so I think I stayed in corporate America just a little too long. I had been giving so much that it was to the detriment of my family. And once I recognized where I was heading, I was very disappointed. And I felt like, I should have done more at that point to take the steps necessary to get the education that I need. And like I said in my story, I waited. My wife had that book for 2 weeks before I even picked it up. and thought that it was important. So yeah, definitely waiting for something good to happen versus taking initiative and making the change I wanted. I think that was a big failure for me at the time.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, sometimes these things happen for a reason, because by waiting beyond the time you should have, it became stale, it became frustrating, and that perhaps allowed you to even open your eyes for other things.
Right.
Right? That's at least what happened to me. If I would have been all happy in my job, I would have never looked for anything else.
That's true. That's very true.
So sometimes it's a good thing to have something happen to you that is just not that frustrates you, because it can be the trigger to actually take action. So
right.
Okay, so next question is what kind of books are you reading? I assume you're a reader. You guys, obviously, you read Rich Dad Poor Dad and so on. What books are you reading these days?
Right. So High Performance Habits by Brendan Burchard. That's a big one. He's got a nice high performance indicator test that you can take prior to reading the book to kind of assess where you are as far as a high performer. So that's a great book, great mindset book. That can help you in your business. And another one that I just read, which is interesting, is The Greatest You by Trenton Shelton. So that's a real nice self-help book, looking at really taking a look at yourself, understanding what your opportunities can be, and trying to understand, what your purpose is in life. So it's a very, very good book.
Wonderful. Then the last question I have is just before we finish up, what do you recommend to somebody that is listening right now? What do you have, like a last piece of advice to just people are listening who perhaps like sitting here and just are in that paralysis analysis, or in that what should I do, or just overall people that are interested in real estate?
Yeah. So what I would say is take action, right? Don't be afraid to make a mistake, because when you make mistakes, there's opportunities that are present there. There's so many things you can learn by making a mistake. And it's not the end of the world if you do. You can learn from it. You can grow from it. That for me, that's the number one way that you learn, by getting out there and trying and making mistakes. So the biggest thing is take action. Don't be afraid of making mistakes, because there are definitely going to be opportunities out there for you. And just keep going, keep pushing. You never know what could happen. Just by going out there and making yourself known, letting people know what you do, it's amazing what opportunities can come up just by having that energy and going out there and talking to people.
I love that you guys are all always swagged out with everybody. And your link and your website there, Cash for Plots, and I guess that's where people can find out about you. If they want to contact you, are you available to answer perhaps a few questions if somebody reaches out to you?
Yeah, definitely. You can go to our Facebook page, The Plot Squad. That's probably one of the best ways that you can reach us. And then if you have, specific questions, you can always drop us an email at info@theplotsquad.com.
All right, wonderful. Well, we'll put all of that into the show notes. So with that said, thank you very much, Stephen. It was wonderful having you. Congratulations to your success. And with that said, guys, this completes another episode of the Forever Cash Life Real Estate Podcast. Again, give us a 5-star review. If you're watching this on YouTube, give us a thumbs up, share it with people around there. This is what happens when you are interested in real estate, you see the right answer, you take action, you go from a few deals to 30 plus deals to Hall of Fame to being now, you guys are coaches in our organization. So with that said, thank you very much, Stephen, and you all have a great day.
No problem. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Enjoyed this episode? Then make sure you like, subscribe, and post your comments and questions below the video. We're looking forward to hearing from you.